Hey, how is everybody doing? We're live. We're back. It's 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. It is January 14th, and it is the Zen Bounty Wars. Too many buttons here so that we mess ourselves up, but please welcome my co-host Steve Stern and myself as we show up. Here we are. Steve, how you doing, dude?
I'm good. I'm recovering from a miserable cold.
Which means that 5 minutes of little intro static music waiting for 10 o'clock to show up must have felt like forever.
Indeed. There'll probably be a little intermittent coughing and sniffling here, but I'm not contagious. Certainly not through the internet. So we're all good.
Yeah, that would suck if you were that sick. That's it's actually one of the reasons that Thad's not here tonight. So we're wishing him a get well wish too. Thad, my good friend Thad, came down with the old COVID, and he actually tested. He's had it all week, and he tested negative this morning. So luckily he's on the mend, as it were.
We live in a world with a plethora of germs circulating around.
It's it, and it's all because of the alien invasion that's currently happening.
Yeah.
How many UFOs have you seen in the news this week? Right? It's like,
okay. They're out there. They're out there. Those amazing radar pics from jet fighters over the ocean.
Oh yeah.
The Pentagon released. There's something out there, folks.
Oh man. Well, let's say hi to everybody that's out there. I see Kevin is there. Kevin, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Kev.
J-Tunes says, howdy, how you doing? I appreciate you guys being here. That is awesome. Kevin says galactic news. That would be old news by the time it got here.
Yeah.
How dare you put real science?
You're right.
Ken, how you doing, my friend? Hey there.
Hey, Ken. Kevin, cool.
Very cool. Hey, Nick, how you doing, dude? Nick. I'm glad that you're here.
Oh, man, Nick.
Awesome. The Miami aliens.
That's funny.
Nicholas says Bigfoot. Well, I tell you, we're going to start the new year off right because we've got a general plan for when the new Kickstarter is going to kick off and how the shows are going to go from now on. So we are going to actually be working live on pages of Zen Bounty Wars #1 while we're here live. So that's basically going to be the format of the show. And you know what? We'll chat. I'll ask you guys questions. I'll ask you guys, what do you think? Maybe we'll have some ideas and some pointers from you guys about maybe what some of the characters should look like. There's a lot of new characters in this book. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a lot of fun to put it together with everybody all together. Make it kind of a collaborative effort.
Yeah, it's our this is our new format. Going to lead right up until the day we launch the Kickstarter, right, Bill?
That's right. This will be our new format until the actual launch of the Kickstarter. So I think this will be pretty fun, and it'll be kind of cool because like you guys will have some say in how the book turns out, as it were. Let me see. Let me put my keyboard over here.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of neat. We've never done anything like that. I've never done anything like this before, whereby we're going to work on a project right in front of an audience, and we invite the audience's input.
Exactly. I think that'll be really cool. So let me crack open a light over here so that way I can see what I'm doing. And I'll show you what's going on so far with the book so far. So far, this is what page 1 is looking like, and then I'll show you the script for page 2.
Yeah, I have a script for page 1. Why don't I read it and let's take a look at that? I didn't know you had gotten this far, Bill.
There you go. Yeah, please. So I've got a clip art for page 2, but I'll have Steve. You can read it or hold it up to the screen. Probably just read it out, so that way we can just see from panel to panel what's going on, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, and and always there's always room for creativity on the artist's part based upon what I write. Page 1, panel 1 is a large introductory panel. Zen is flying down through multicolored clouds to the surface of a planet in the teapot, manipulating the holographic controls. So there you go. Zen is in the teapot.
You know what? I do have a quick question. We'll answer little questions and things. We'll interrupt each other, I'm sure, like a bunch of different times.
Yeah.
But Nick has a quick question. What is the planned launch date? The tentative planned launch date? And I've got it written down here in my calendar. Do you want to go ahead and reveal what the actual launch date is, Steve?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the actual planned launch date for the Kickstarter is going to be March 21st. That is on a Thursday. And you know what? I don't know if Pops is still in the chat, but I might be contacting Pops. Maybe Pops needs to do. Maybe we need to do a launch party for Zen. I think that would be fantastic.
Sure.
To have Pops on board for that. That would be amazing. Always like hanging out with Pops.
Cool.
Kevin says, in your best trailer man voice, in a world. Okay, we'll get back to the page.
Panel 2, it says, Zen has landed and stepped out of the pod, and he's consulting a tracking device, and that looks like exactly what's happening there.
That's it. Now, you notice on page 1, you said the teapot's coming down, and so you notice that the line art, okay, I've got depicted here like the planet's surface, and I've got some like silhouettes of clouds here, but the plan is for all the other clouds, like all the multicolored clouds. That's all going to be done with color digitally. So that's why all of this is blank. So you see the teapot coming through the clouds. So I got that smoke trail behind the teapot is actually just cloud vapor that's following the teapot as it's coming down. And then you don't see too well that I've got a bunch of you got these trees and tree branches and stuff, but you can't really see like all the leaves and foliage just yet because I'm still in the middle of inking it up.
Now panel 3, it says Zen makes his way across rugged terrain, including strange looking trees with large branches.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
And I sort of I shorthanded that because like the scene that I saw in my head, because you could really break that down. You could break down that description into like 3 or 4 panels of him actually like crawling up a tree branch, going through rough terrain. I mean, you could really kind of spread that out. I could take a page and spread that out, but I really wanted him to be sneaking up on our target, on our bad guy over here. So I'm
Right.
gonna have like tree branches and stuff like that in the background, but I wanted to have that close up of him actually looking, get that visual storytelling of him like looking over because you got this. Okay, read what's
Panel 4.
on panel 4. Right,
It
right.
says Zen spots his quarry, a large reptilian alien with green skin ducking around a large rock.
Cool, cool. So you see how I shorthanded that one. You get the implication that it's a reptilian dude that he's after. This is his bounty. This is the guy that he's after. And Zen's back there. He's basically silhouetted out, and he's kind of like Spider-Man posing back there. Like you could tell he's crawling up through some branches and trees and stuff. And you see the bad guy, but you don't see the bad guy. You know what I mean? But
That's cool. Cool.
but yeah, this is a lot of fun. It's like I like taking the script and seeing how it interprets out. And this is kind of like our first draft of what these two characters look like. These are stick figures. I mean, these are just like little ideas. So our reptilian guy has got kind of like this lizard, with the hulking shoulders and stuff. And I'm sure he's got a blaster and some weapons and stuff like that. But this is like the general look so far that I've got for the reptilian guy.
That looks neat. Yeah.
And we could talk about him right now during the live stream. If you guys have ideas or something you might want me to add to the guy, or something you may want to, maybe he needs a backpack with a couple of like a jetpack or something back there. I don't know. You guys let me know. You guys let me know. This guy doesn't pop up until the page that we're actually the next page. This is another bounty hunter guy that's showing up on page 3. So we'll talk more about this guy when we get over to him and figure out what we're going to do with that guy. So right now, what do you think, Steve? What do you think so far?
Well,
this is Steve's first time seeing it. He's seeing it live along with you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I obviously I write a full script. We don't do it like the so-called Marvel method, whereby I give Bill a brief synopsis. I write a description of everything. But I always marvel at how Bill and other talented artists like himself, they have their own viewpoint as to how to best depict what I've written down in a few words.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things I think is very interesting is that I always liken the artist to being the director of the book. So let's say you have a movie, right? So you have a screenwriter, the guy that writes the screenplay, but then you hire a director, and the director is the guy who creates the actual visuals and the movement, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I see that teamwork, because I always think of myself as the cameraman. I'm always I'm the guy who's like, all right, this is what Steve needs to see in this panel.
Right.
Where do I stand with the camera? Where do I put the characters? Where do I place the pieces?
Exactly. And what's so interesting is that very often the way Bill and other artists will interpret what I write is somewhat different than exactly what I've written down. And that's great because, we want the most creativity, and we also want the person most qualified for breaking the story down visually. And that ain't me. That's Bill. Okay.
Well, that's why it takes teamwork. That's why it takes. Everybody has their strengths, So Steve, without Steve, I wouldn't have that visual to pull from in the first place. So
right. But it's always great to see how, and Bill is superlative at picking angles and creating suspense and foreshadowing. I mean, Bill's a master. And it really shows. Now, J Tunes, by the way, for those who don't know, is a very accomplished cartoonist himself. And he says, glad to hear you both talk a bit about the creative process. Neat insights. Steve is great to work with. Thank you. Very respectful of artists' input and ideas. Yeah, and Jay Toons, by the way, has worked on a very cool Zen project that, Bill, I don't even think you even know about. Very few people know about it. It's a very cool story that just set off an alarm, right?
I just set off an alarm.
Right, and
it's the
Jay
J alarm.
Toons' Zen work is going to debut soon. It's really up to our esteemed publisher, First Comics, as to where and when. But yes, Jay Toons is a name to remember.
That's so cool. I appreciate the compliment, and I appreciate the observation. It's like I like the idea of being able to talk shop and showing a bit of the process. And the thing is, it's like, this obviously, this is very unrehearsed. Steve is seeing these pages for the first time live while we're together, and I'm actually doing these thumbnails for page 2 while we're here, while we're here together and doing it live. In fact, let me see. Let me put up page 2. And of course, I have no way of, I have no idea how to. There we go. Can I put it over here? Can I put this over here? Can I move? Where can I move things? I don't know, guys. Can you see everything okay? Like if I leave it like this?
I think I can. I guess everybody can.
Okay. Well, let me put this back on here. Well, what I'll do is we'll read a bit of the script since I have it up there, and then I'll make my screen larger so that way you can see the sketching. So we'll read this part. Read this, Mr. Writer, Mr. Writing of comic books.
Okay. Well, it's very small.
Oh, you know what? It is. Yeah. It's. I thought you might have a printout of page 2 there with you. Okay.
I have a printout of the first 2 panels because
all right, cool.
This one page. Panel 1 says Zen hustles behind a rock, pulling out his photon.
Oh, there you go. Dave hustles behind a rock, pulling out the photon stick, and he's getting some dialogue with our bad guy Vardor,
right?
Who's off panel.
Exactly.
And I did these right before the thing, but I'm very unhappy with the way this is. So we'll read it and we'll go along as we do this. Because page 2 is like a large chunk of rock near Zen's head gets blasted.
Yeah.
Right. Nearly hitting Zen as it flies off. So there's basically the bad guy shooting at him and almost hitting him, but just blasting the rock right next to his face. Panel 3. Zen is actually a close-up on Vardor now instead of on Zen. So now we're actually looking at our bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Zen is off screen. Don't make this any harder for yourself than it has to be. And Vardor's being kind of a smart ass. He's like, yeah, right. And then panel 4, Zen's point of view, he spots a large tree branch above the rock that Vardor is hiding behind.
Right.
So Zen is like, okay, have it your way. It's like, I'm gonna have to, And then panel 5, Zen actually blasts the branch, which cracks off. So we're assuming that this branch is gonna fall down on our bad guy. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
So let me take that out so that way you can actually see what I'm sketching here. So the initial panel got Zen basically talking shit to the guy from behind a rock. Because he's like, all right, like give up already. I'm after you. I'm going to get you. But he blasts the rock next to him, like kind of a show of intimidation, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then Vardor, close up of Vardor behind the rock he's hiding behind. But see, this is the part I don't like because he's hiding behind this rock, but I don't see the tree or the branch kind of foreshadowing what might happen. It's like if I just have him shoot the branch without actually showing it up here, then it's like, the tree branch came out of nowhere. It's like, what's going on? You're just making this up as you're going along, which Actually, we are. We are making this up.
That's exactly right.
And then this little inset panel down here is Zen looking up and spotting the tree branch in the first place, so that he knows that he can use it. So let me redo that, and then we'll go to the actual page and start seeing what. So I can already tell that I need more room. I need a lot more room here so I can actually see the tree branch behind the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really need as much room for Zen to actually be talking some smack over here and for you to understand that the rock got blasted next to his face. So I'm going to raise this up a little bit and make this smaller and then make this bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, that gives us a little bit more room to work with. Because I'd like.
It's always amazing to me how you talented artists can, visually interpret things, and usually, using shorthand, things that, again, us word guys are just amazed by. This is, so much of why I love working with artists, because it's something I have no ability on whatsoever. And I often wonder if you kind of have to be born with an artistic, and I mean strictly art, talent, to be able to do what you do. Like, I'm curious with Bill or Jay Tunes or anybody else who's an artist who's here now. I'm curious to know if you like as a youngster just picked up a pencil or a pen and realized you had the ability to like depict things on paper.
There's a certain amount of this that I guess you could say is talent or having a certain eye for. I think if you really want to do something, like for instance, I'm horrible at math, but I also hate math. So I never really poured my energy into it. That's one of those things where I love art and I love visualizing the story, and I like drawing these science fiction characters. Like when I was a kid, we saw Star Wars for the first time. The first thing I did when I got home, I started drawing all the things that I saw in the movie. I started drawing R2-D2. I started drawing the spaceships. I started drawing the Falcon. I started, I was drawing them badly, but that's what I wanted to do. I was trying to remember all the details of what made that character look like that character, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun for me.
Did you ever save any of your very, very early drawings?
Yeah, I still have a box of really, really early drawings, like from school. I got a couple from as far back as you can go. I've got some stuff saved up. I do.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see, because I attempted to both write and draw. The first time I got involved in trying to create a comic book, I both drew and wrote it. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have it.
That's cool.
This thing is many, many decades old, but I've retained it. And the story was called Ultraman. And I know there's been various iterations of characters named Ultraman, but that's
sure
what I did, right?
But all those first things are like they're derivative of whatever it is we enjoy. So yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah.
But the thing is, like at the time, there were a couple of artists whose work I really loved, like Carmine Infantino and Gil Kane. And I kind of tried to trace or copy their work, which of course was done terribly because I have no artistic talent whatsoever. But I have that. And one day I might show it to people.
I think that would be cool. Seeing that early stuff is always so interesting.
Right.
All right. Right now with this panel, let's see, I ran into a problem with this panel already, because there's certain things that I really want to see. Like it's the first time that you really see Vardor, the bad guy.
Right.
So I want to make him big. I want to see all the detail on the guy, but at the same time, I have to show that Zen is spotting him hiding behind a rock with this huge tree thing behind him, right?
Mhm.
So, like my brain wants to draw him like real big, so you could see him holding his blaster, being real pissed off. But I actually have to draw him really small. I got to make him tiny back here, so that way I can see this huge tree behind him,
Mhm.
which is the target of where Zen is going to be blasting in a minute. And then also, like, panel 3 is, us kind of like concentrating on Vardor hiding behind this rock, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to draw an inset panel here. But I think what I want in order to convey that, okay, he's hiding behind this rock, and then Zen actually spots this tree here. I make his line of sight. So I'm gonna draw a panel border, even though this is actually one big panel. Panels 3 and 4 is one big panel, but I'm gonna draw a little white panel border around this to kind of focus on, hey, Zen's looking at something. He's looking at something up the hill. He's looking at this guy. Here's his tail, so you can see where he's at.
By the way, Jay Tunes has commented it was all about enjoyment at first, which I presume means he was having fun drawing things.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Because he had that talent.
Mhm.
I gave up after that one like 10-page comic book story I did. I gave up trying to be an artist. Because I realized that was not where any talent I had lied.
Here, I'm writing myself a note in order for this to kind of work out, so that you see what Zen is that he's going to be shooting, because this panel is going to be small, and you're not going to really see him actually firing the blast from his photon stick, from his photon staff. So for this panel, it's like you got the bad guy up here, kind of in the shadows next to this huge tree. Zen is looking up at him, and then his staff has actually been a black silhouette up until this point. But in this panel, it actually lights up in green. So you see the glowing green actually coming off the stick like he's about to use it.
That's cool.
And then we have the blast. Maybe even the top of Valdor's head and his eyes and stuff like that, looking up at the fact that he blasted that branch that's right above him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll make it interesting because, like, on top of making sure that you're telling the story and making it so that you're actually, you can just see what's happening just by looking at the pictures. You have to make it interesting. You have to make it fun to look at. That's one of the things I really love from early issues of Spawn. Well, they still do it in Spawn, obviously. McFarlane's work on Spider-Man and Todd McFarlane's work on Spawn is like his panel layouts were always like funky and interesting to look. You could still follow the story, but some of the panels are sticking out and some of the characters are this way, or it's like just to make it really interesting to look at, make it fun to look at. J-Tune says, "Let's see it, Steve." Kevin says, "Zen shot first." Yes, he did.
I will. I got to find that thing. It's going to take a long while to find it. It's packed away, but I've got it.
I tell you, I'll take some time out and I'll find some of my early stuff too. We can share. We can swap stories of old.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I've got some 11x17 blue line paper branded with Bounty Wars right on the page. It's all good. Make it look fancy.
And art is a very time and labor intensive process. As a writer, I'm fully aware of the fact that I can write the script for a page of a comic book in 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending upon how complex it is, right?
Yeah.
But say it takes me even a half hour to write a script for a page after I edit it and whatnot.
Mhm.
That amount of script that takes a half hour at most to write is going to take a day for an artist to do, isn't it?
It's always, yeah, the amount of work that goes into even a simple thing. It's you really have to hammer it out over a certain amount of time. There's
Yeah.
no shortcuts, you know. So let me make sure this is straight. This is one of the things I like to cheat with as far as drawing panel borders. I love the old rolling ruler technique.
Now, did you notice that Kevin wrote Zen shot first? Do you know what he means by that?
Oh yeah, he's definitely talking about Han Solo there. That Zen's our Han Solo recipient. And actually, I'm not going to draw the other panel borders. Actually, yeah, I will draw this panel border first.
It's pretty fascinating to watch this process happen.
Yeah, it's all the nuts and bolts of just putting it together. And even when I watch other, watching speed paintings are always fun, or speed drawings, but they speed things up so you can just see it materialize, but it doesn't answer your questions if you're somebody who's actually going to sit down and do this sort of thing for the first time, where it's just like, oh, okay, like this is how he's drawing the panel borders. Oh, this is how he's roughing it in. These are like the 3 different steps that goes into visualizing it before you actually commit it to paper, before you actually commit it to a page, you know.
Now, you know what would be cool for next week, Bill?
What's that?
If in the interim between now and next Sunday, if you have the opportunity to complete, say, with colors and possibly lettering, page 1, because you've already got page 1 kind of done in terms of the pencils and inks, I think.
I think, yeah, I totally agree with you. For first of all, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I want to have like as many little jumps as I can, so that way people see like a real before and after.
Yeah.
But also, I think what we'll do also on top of that is I'm actually going to show some real time coloring.
Oh, that's cool.
So we can do that, because I do all my heavy lifting now. As far as the coloring goes, I do all my heavy lifting with Procreate on my iPad. So I can.
Well, that's great.
And what I like to do is I like to aim the camera at the actual iPad. I don't, when you see it just appear on the screen and you don't see the person actually working on it, I don't feel like you learn anything. It's enjoyable. It's nice. It's cool, but you don't actually see. It's like, oh, that's how long that actually takes to draw, or this is how long it takes to actually, put in those color strokes, or this is how you move your hand when you're using a certain tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I always, even now when I'm watching other artists that I like to watch, to see them work, the speed paintings and the videos are always super cool. I always enjoy them. But to watch something happen, if you're not really interested in the art, it might be a bit boring, because that's why they do the speed paintings in the first place, because a lot of people are just casually watching. But if I can actually watch somebody working in real time and actually see the nuts and bolts happening in real time, that's really cool. That's where you really learn some stuff, and you can take some stuff to the bank with you. Take some stuff to the brain bank.
Absolutely.
So you can see here where this is the panel I'm filling in now. So I got the general stick figure of Zen. Zen, the Q-tip head, with just like two balls for eyes. But I know that his arm is overlapping. He's looking over his shoulder a little bit. He's going to have this rock that's behind him. So this gives me all of the information that I need, and how tall, and how, because I'm also thinking about the dialogue. If there's dialogue that has to go into it, this is where thumbnails are like really, really important. Because a lot of artists, when they start working on the books, they'll create beautiful artwork, And then you have to cover up 60% of it with word balloons and caption balloons. And it's actually a shame to have to cover up that much art. So you want to have negative dead spaces here and there, so that way you have a place to put all those balloons and put all the dialogue. And I mean, that's part of what this all is. If it was just a pinup page with no dialogue, then, you know, go ham. You know, it's like, do it, you know. But if you're creating a story that's going to have word balloons and dialogue, and the dialogue is actually part of the art, and you have to plan ahead for that.
So first, you always do like a thumbnail of a page first, right? You always
I have a sketchbook that's just I did this thumbnail like this because I wanted it to be easy for me to hold in front of camera. I actually have a sketchbook, and I have sketchbooks that, who knows, it's a lot. I've lost a lot of them just because they're just tools. They're tools for work, and they're full of little thumbnails like this, where I needed to kind of like work out. Okay, this is where, because when you first look at your page of script, it's like the very first thing I look at before I even read the dialogue. How many panels do I have? How much space do I have to work with?
Right.
How many big panels are there? How much information do I have to actually translate? You know, you got this little panel that just got blam, you know, that's it. That could be a tiny panel, but if it's something that's very impactful to the story, you might want to make it a big panel. You know, it's like if it's a bam from a small gun shooting a little window, then you can make it small. But yeah, who knows if it's a bazooka shooting a tank? You know, it's like, so you got to turn around. You have to weigh all those things. It's like I try to visually place importance on things based on how important I think you meant it to be.
Yeah, there's so many choices and decisions that have to be made by the artist. I mean, I think sometimes people just think an artist just sits down and, you know, just starts drawing. It's there's a lot of planning. It always has to be that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's always a lot of planning, and even with what I'm doing right now, it seems like I'm just going in right to the final drawing. But this is actually a really rough, and I'm penciling it really light because I'm always assuming that I'm going to have to erase most of it, and I don't want to damage the paper, because then it'll be hard for me to ink when I'm done. So I'm inking myself on this book.
Are you inking? But you're not inking digitally, are you? You're inking.
Yeah, I'm inking traditionally on this book. If I was inking digitally, I might pencil a lot tighter, because really, even with the way I'm penciling it right now, a lot of it are implied shapes, and there's a lot of, you know, like sketchy, kind of loose lines, you know. Mm-hmm. But if I was going to ink it digitally, or even more importantly, if somebody else was going to ink it after me, then I would definitely pencil these lines a lot tighter, so that way, you know, you can actually see the information. Actually, if I was inking it myself digitally, the reason I would pencil it super tight is so that the page would look really presentable, because I like to sell the original artwork.
Yeah.
See, I already know ahead of time that this pencil sketch is going to get covered with ink. It's going to disappear. It's you know, so I'm really loose. I'm really light with it, and I'm not too concerned. Like, if I have a little sketchy line over here or something like that, I'm not really concerned, because I'm going to erase all that off. No one's ever going to see it, or you know, it's not going to be a factor, because the ink is going to cover. The ink is going to be the whole focus of the page, you know.
Right.
But my good friend Mikey Babinski, he's an inker for Marvel, DC. He's done it all, man. It's like he's fantastic inker. He's the best. When I was working with him, he had a very interesting process, which was he would take my pencils. I would send him digital files of my pencils, and then he would print blue line pencils himself at home from those files.
Yeah.
So I had the original pencils, and he literally had the original inks. And so we had 2 pieces of artwork for every page. So if somebody was collecting, the art from that book, there's actually 2 pieces of artwork to buy from that specific page. Yeah.
Would you say that most books in this day and age are digitally inked or not?
I think more and more books are digitally inked, and I don't think it's not necessarily. I mean, there are a lot of tools that you have because you're going digital. But even when I ink myself digitally, it still takes about the same amount of time.
Oh, really?
So I'm not saving time, and I'm taking away a little bit of the collectability because you can't hold the original in your hand. It's not,
right.
It's a digital file now,
right.
and there is no physical original to be found. But
right.
I've been noticing that there are so many fans coming up. The new generation coming up. They're requesting digital files. They'd rather have digital files, and it's not just my overseas fans. My overseas fans, I understand, because they tell me. I mean, they tell me straight up. It's like, yeah, shipping is horrible. Like, I would rather buy something digital and then I just have it immediately, as opposed to paying an extra $30 to $60, for shipping.
Huh.
For something that might get damaged in the mail. It's like you don't know if it might get damaged or whatever. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of factors to weigh in to why people make the choices that they do.
Well, you remember the relatively short-lived NFT craze,
Right.
where people were buying, in many cases, extremely high-priced digital files.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That didn't seem to go over too terribly well after a couple of big blowouts.
Like the initial gimmick of it sounded really cool, like the initial thing, and then people jumped onto it because people actually were spending quite a lot of money to collect them. But at the same time, I could right click and save anything that I see on my screen, and it really doesn't matter to most people whether or not you have a digital certificate saying that you're the actual owner of that image. You know what I mean? And if you don't have a connection to the artist, like when I send a digital commission to a collector, but it's something they requested. It's like it came out of their mind. It was their idea. It may even be their own character. It's like it may be something that they actually came up with themselves, or at the very least, it was their idea to have this character in this situation or in this pose or in this action scene or whatever. They had some say and some investment in the image before they get it. Yeah, so they're just not buying a random image. So for somebody to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a single digital image that they had nothing to do with, I think it might have been doomed from the start, only because most people are used to already being able to just save images off the internet without,
right,
owning it all.
It was that theoretical ownership on the blockchain that
right. Yeah, that's what made it amazing and attractive. Because then they made it attractive for creators too, because it was part of that blockchain. Every single time there's a digital trail that this file leaves. So every time it gets bought and sold, the artist would actually get a little bit of a kickback from that transaction.
Yeah.
But if you saw that image, most people are going to right click on an image and just save it as a wallpaper on their phone. They don't need it to be
right.
4K resolution, and they don't need it to be official. It's like they don't see the value in that. So, which is too bad. I mean, I really thought, if it took off and everybody enjoyed it, that would be a really neat business model, because it kind of benefited everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, how you doing, dude? You caught me working. We're actually almost at the end of the show. We're almost at
I know,
50
It's
minutes. I know.
this is a real life lesson in how time and labor intensive artwork
It
is.
is. It is. I mean, we're talking for what? We're close to an hour, and I'm barely penciling this one panel. That's not even a full.
Yeah,
That's not even a full character. It's just from the waist up. It's a pose that I was comfortable with, so I didn't really have to lay out the pose first.
yeah.
Because sometimes you lay in like a little stick figure and try to work out it. If this was an action scene, I would have been trying to work out this pose for a little while and make sure that it's like, okay, there's like make sure 20 different things are happening that I would really like to see happening.
Yeah.
Let's see,
Well,
J-Tunes.
Bill and Steve, what do you each consider the Zen work you're most proud of? Wow, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I mean, I consider Zen Bounty Wars to be the newest and best. You always think of your latest work as your best work. And especially because we have all this experience and we got this time. I mean, Steve, I consider Steve to be a close friend. He's not somebody that I just work for. We've known each other now for 30 years. I've known him longer than some of my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's a good answer, though. I will say this: Bounty Wars is the coolest and most intricate and fun and action-filled and character-filled Zen story I've ever written. It is true. That's true.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and the fact that we're bringing it full circle and having Nira actually kind of cross over into the story. I mean, it's like it's great because Nira X had her first appearance in Zen. If it wasn't for Zen, she wouldn't have had her first appearance. Hey, Gerald, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Gerald. Well, the other thing about Bounty Wars is, once I knew that the direction I wanted to take Zen in was in the bounty hunting genre, and that actually happened like back in 2005, right?
Right.
The book Zen Bounty Hunter,
exactly,
which Bill and I both worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And that book, by the way, if someone doesn't have it, you can access it at the First Comics website. You can buy it, right?
So I'm officially the first person to draw Zen with a face.
That's right. But once I knew that bounty hunting was what I wanted Zen to be doing for the foreseeable future, which he certainly still is. I really studied a lot about what everything about bounty hunting, not only in outer space, but going back to those seminal bounty hunters in the Old West, right?
Well, yeah, basing it a little bit in reality, that kind of like that gives us such an edge,
Oh yeah, and I would watch shows like Wanted, Dead or Alive, which was really Steve McQueen's first big role, TV show, right? He was a bounty hunter. Wanted, Dead or Alive. And you can see those like on YouTube. They're awesome, right? But anyway, this book, Bounty Wars, is the culmination of everything I've learned and kind of innovated in terms of bounty hunting in outer space, specifically with Zen. And you're going to meet so many different, interesting, odd, humorous, and otherwise, and terrible bounty hunters in this story that I think you got the right answer, Bill. J2, folks, know that some original mouse art is for sale on eBay and elsewhere. True.
No, absolutely. In fact, I do have a new. I don't have a banner for it already made, but I have on BillMouse.com. If you guys want to go to BillMouse.com, there you go. I'll put it up on the thing. It's on my little thing there, BillMouse.com, my website. If you go there and go to the online store, I've got new things rotating in. I'm going to try and rotate new things in every month. And if you guys see something there that you like, there's comics, there's PDFs there's a PDF you could download. There's original art that you can buy from there. I totally appreciate it. Yeah, I mean that's what keeps me alive. So I appreciate that. Thanks for mentioning that, J-Tunes. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, and let's not forget that when your art migrates over to heritage auctions, right?
Right.
That then it goes for several $100s.
Oh, it goes for yeah. I wish some of that money would actually kick back this way, but they're lucky that they've got it. I'm glad that they're selling for that much, so that's good. But in the meantime, go to BillMoss.com.
Jay Toon says Ditko used to be asked what his favorite project was, and he'd say the next one. Bounty Wars is looking good. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Thanks,
it's
dude.
very interesting. I've been doing a lot of research and studying on Steve Ditko, who was one of the most interesting artists in the whole pantheon of great artists in comic books. And he was a very, very interesting guy. And he's, one of the all-time greats, Steve Ditko.
Yeah,
no question about it.
Definitely.
I think Jay Toons is very beholden in a creative way to Ditko. What about yourself, Bill? What's your feelings about Ditko?
Oh, you're kidding! He's one of the big guys. I mean, it's what is there to say that you didn't already just say? So it's like I'd feel like I'm name dropping at this point if I say anything more about Ditko.
Yeah.
But this, it's one of the big. Those are the giants that you look up to. It's like,
absolutely. Well, Bill, we better wrap this up. We're going way over time.
Yeah, we're over time. So this is now a 55-minute show.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows. But yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to do it again on Sunday, next Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We'll do it all again, and we'll work on some more stuff. I'll show you a little bit of progress on what we were working on this week. And that is basically
coloring. How about some coloring next week, Bill?
Yeah, maybe some coloring. I think we'll do some coloring on that first page, and then we'll go from there. And I think that'll be a good time.
Hey, everybody! Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate the input, and look forward to seeing you next week.
See you guys next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Matter.